you're famous. You're known as an atheist around, I
Yep,
guess, around the world, if not the country for sure, but around the world.
the
Were
entire
you,
solar system.
yeah, were you raised a Christian?
No, I wasn't raised anything. I became a born again Christian in 1971 when I was in high school. And I went to Crescenta Valley High in La Crescenta, and I was matriculated at Pepperdine University in Malibu, which is a Church of Christ school. I went there. Then I went off to graduate school. So I was a born again for about 7 years. But I was serious about it. I mean, I was studying the Bible. I took courses at Pepperdine in the life of Jesus, the writings of C.S. Lewis. I read everything C.S. Lewis has written. I took courses on the Old Testament, the New Testament. These are required courses at Pepperdine, and I went knocking on door to door to witness to people. So I was, a serious evangelical, and then, eventually I lost my religion. But
What happened? What happened to
what
cause you to
happened?
lose it?
Yeah, that's the big question. Well, first of all, I was very troubled by the problem of evil, what's called theodicy. That is, why do bad things happen to good people? Now, here I don't mean wars and things like that. I mean like childhood leukemia.
Right.
Why would innocent children be, felled by cancer, by hurricanes and tsunamis, and why would God allow that? Well, maybe He can't. Maybe He's just not omniscient. But if He is omniscient and He's omnipotent, He's all good and loving, then why does He allow these things to happen? Anyway, this is a huge debate philosophy. I've read, both sides. In my opinion, there's no good answer other than, well, there's no God and just stuff happens. Bad things happen, and there is no God to stop it or make it. God doesn't make it happen. God doesn't let it happen. There is no God. Things just happen. This is just the laws of nature taking their course. And so that was kind of the biggest impetus, I would say.
Were your
And
father
also,
and mother Christians?
no, they slight leanings for that, but they weren't religious. No.
And so who are you
But they,
closest to, your
but they
father or your
weren't,
mother?
but they weren't anti-religious either. See, back in the 60s and 70s when I was coming of age, this whole thing about the importance of religion culturally, politically, and so on, that didn't exist. There was no atheist movement. There was no clash between science and religion. It just wasn't really an issue.
Right.
It certainly wasn't in our home.
Yeah.
Well, I was raised in two different homes. My parents divorced when I was 4, both remarried, both wonderful people. My step parents were very loving and supportive. So I bounced back and forth between two homes. And here I will agree that I would have preferred, I think looking back as a child, to have one home, just one set of parents. It was somewhat anxiety producing to bounce back and forth between two homes. But given that it happened, I think both parents made the most of it. And I have step parents I have 2 half sisters and 3 step siblings, and they're all wonderful people and everything's fine. But, I agree, the family structure is good.
So
It's
do
good,
you
but
think that who are you closest to, your father and your mother, doing the bouncing and back, going back and forward?
my mother.
Yeah. Do you think that it's possible that not being close to your father could have affected the way you saw Christianity?
No, I was pretty close to my father, my bio father, and my
But
step
you were
parents
closer to
too.
your mother, though.
Well, I mean, if you're giving me a forced choice, yes, but they're both super high. One's just maybe like that difference, right? No, that had nothing to do with my giving up Christianity. I think the arguments for God's existence are not as good as the counter arguments. They're good, but they're not as good. I think science has a lot of answers to the great mysteries, but not all. I don't think invoking God for the creation of the universe or why there's something rather than nothing or the origins of morality or consciousness, I don't think that's necessary. We have some pretty good
Amazing.
explanations now. I've written books about all these things, so
Yeah, I
it's not
know.
a super simple answer. But
And then,
but it's okay to say I don't know. I mean,
right.
nobody may know what there was before the universe began, or whether there's a God. If God is outside of space and time, how can we know God
Amazing.
unless God reaches into the universe and stirs the particles in some way to cure cancer or whatever, in some measurable way? There's no way science can determine one way or the other whether God's existence.
There is, when you were a Christian and you were going around preaching the Christian message, did you have perfect peace?
Yes, I felt pretty at peace with myself and my religious beliefs. Yes,
Did you
I
have
mean, there's
perfect peace within?
well, I don't know what perfect peace means. When I was a Christian, particularly at Pepperdine, and you're surrounded by other Christians, the worldview is fairly coherent, internally coherent, and and logical, and everything happens for a reason. Everything makes sense, until you step outside of the bubble and you think, there's another perspective here. Being in the bubble has one set of beliefs. Being outside of it, you see a different perspective, which is why I argue in Giving the Devil His Due. You need to talk to other people. Like you're talking to me. You're obviously a Christian and a believer, and
Yes.
I'm an atheist, and we're talking. So that's
Right.
good.
Yeah. And so, did you have perfect peace when you were a Christian?
Well, what do you mean by that?
I'll tell you in a minute. And if you had it, you would know.
Well,
Did you
I
have
certainly
perfect peace
I certainly
within?
believed. I certainly believed, and I felt. Yeah, I guess I was at peace with myself. Yes.
But did you have perfect peace within?
Again, I don't know what that means.
Oh, okay. Another thing you just said, which is very interesting, and I hear this a lot. You said, why would God allow bad things to happen to good people, right?
Yeah.
How do you know those people are good?
Well, I mean, just take innocent people like a 5-year-old girl who dies of childhood leukemia.
How do you know that she was innocent, though?
It doesn't matter if she was good or bad. She's a child. Why would God
But
allow
why would
the
you
suffering
call
of
them
that?
innocent? I mean, yeah, innocent people.
What I mean by innocent
I
is
mean,
that
good people.
Christians distinguish between natural evil and then human-caused evil. So, I could sort of follow the line of reasoning that bad things happen to good people because there's bad people, psychopaths or
Right.
dictators or demagogues that commit genocide on people. So, yes, okay, that's human volition doing that.
Right.
But what about natural evil? Earthquakes, tsunamis, hurricanes, and entire towns are wiped out. Families are killed. I mean, are you seriously gonna argue that they all died because they were bad people?
I would neither call them good or evil because I didn't know them, so
Yeah.
I couldn't make the decision that they were good and evil. I do know that in life we get what we deserve.
I don't think that's always the case. It's kind of a built-in assumption you're making that's unfalsifiable. There's no way to counter it. That is to say, you're arguing whatever happens was supposed to happen. Okay, that doesn't explain anything. So you're saying whoever died probably had to die because they were bad people.
Well, as I said, I don't call them good or bad because I didn't know them. I don't know them. So
Right.
I
And so
wouldn't
then-
just make up an assumption about something I don't know. It's a situation that happened. Those people were killed or whatever, but I wouldn't classify them as bad or good. I would recognize that the incident happened, and I'm trying to figure out why would you call them good people?
Well, this is a phrase in a book title by Rabbi Gerald Kushner called "When Bad Things Happen to Good People." Now, he's a Jew, and his ultimate conclusion is because God simply cannot stop all evil. Now, by evil, he means, again, to distinguish between natural evil and human-caused evil. But what would be your explanation for why children die at a rate, I think it's like 3,000 a day of childhood diseases and starvation in poor countries like Africa, various, causes like this. This is like a 9/11 every day. And then multiply that by the grief that their parents feel about losing a child. I mean, I have 2 children. I can't imagine how horrible that must be to lose a child. And this happens 3,000 times every day. Surely God could do something about this, but he doesn't. Why not?
Well, God can do. He's in all things. He can control all things. He can definitely do what he wants. But
why doesn't he want to help poor children? Why doesn't he want to save the lives of children?
Because he has given that responsibility unto men to do that, to represent good, to allow him to represent good. But some men, not all, but most have decided not to overcome that fallen state. And they are representing evil, and the sins of the father, the sins of the fathers are passed on to the children.
I couldn't figure out the name of your show. By fallen state, you don't mean the government. You mean the fall of mankind in the Garden of Eden.
Yes.
Okay, I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it.
And
All right,
so
well,
things like that happen because if the earthly father not going to protect and be that example and be the light to their family, they'll put their children at risk with those type of things. And so when you're living in the darkness, you're going to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, and things will happen to you.
I don't know. It's a little too convenient. I mean, would you say that to parents who had a child die and they're grieving, they're in misery, and you would say to them, "What? Hey, tough up. That's the way God wanted it," or "You were bad and you sinned, and that's why God took your child away."
But
I
it's
mean, you
not.
wouldn't say that.
But it's not. God doesn't take them away. It's your own failure that takes. It's the God that you serve that takes them
How is
away. So
how
God doesn't take life away like
even
that. It's a,
even if I'm a failure, let's say I'm a terrible parent, why would God kill my own kid or allow nature to say give my kid cancer? That's sort of
another.
imposing. That's sort of the sins of the father are loaded onto the shoulders of the child. That's wrong.
But you
We
got
can't
it
have that.
wrong when you say that God is doing it. He's allowed it to happen, but He doesn't
Okay.
do it. It's a
Yeah.
sin. It's a falling away from God that brings these things up on you and your family
But let's
because you
say
serve a different God, and
but
and
but let's
there's
say
no love
you're
in Him at all.
let's say you're born in some African country that's super poor, disease ridden, and they're food deserts, and the children are just miserable and suffering. They're not Christians. They don't even. Maybe they never even heard of Jesus. Why should they suffer?
Well, the reason that they're suffering is because they do know of Him. Because
How would they know?
He's
There's
in all
lots
of
of
us.
people around the world who've never heard of Christianity.
He's in all people, so they do know Him. They just have, for whatever reason, decided not to return to Him. And if you look at Mommy Africa is a wicked place because
Well, I
the
don't know that
blacks there
term.
are
What do
very
you mean,
wicked people.
Mommy Africa? What are you talking about?
Well, the blacks call it Mommy Africa. They said Africa is mommy. They
Oh,
call
okay.
Africa Mommy
I
Africa. But I don't call it that. It's a joke. But
okay. All right. Okay.
but if you look at the people, they worship everything but God. And so they're getting what they deserve.
But what I'm saying is that no matter what happens, you claim the ultimate explanation. So bad things happen, that's the way it was supposed to be. Good things happen, that's the way it's supposed to be.
Right.
And so on. But that doesn't explain it. What's the difference between
It's the God that you serve.
between say Hitler and the innocent person in Papua New Guinea who never heard of Jesus because they've never encountered a Westerner? There are those people. That's why Christian missionaries go out on missions, because there's people that have never heard of Jesus. So you're telling me that when they die, if they've never been contacted by missionaries, say, what's the explanation for their deaths and misery and suffering?
I don't know. So I wouldn't. You said this priest wrote the book, why bad people, good people die or something.
Yeah, the
But
book
the
is
priest
called.
is making an assumption.
No, it's a rabbi.
The rabbi is making
yeah,
an assumption because he doesn't know these people. He doesn't know their circumstances. He doesn't know their hearts. And so he doesn't know that they're not getting what they deserve. He's making an assumption.
But why? What's this? You get what you deserve. That for some reason a 3-year-old who dies of a brain tumor, how are they supposed to know right and wrong? They can barely speak. They can barely walk. They're just children, tiny children. Why should they suffer and die? What did they do to deserve that? They couldn't have done anything.
That's why you have to. They may be suffering the sins of their parents, but that's
But
why you have to leave it as a don't know.
That's such an immoral idea. I mean, that's a horrible idea.
No.
The sins of the father.
But why
are,
lie
are,
to yourself
are,
and blame it on God? You don't
that
know.
the child has to pay for the sins of the father. That is so anti-justice and unfair.
But that's based on what you think in your fallen state.
No, okay, good. I'll take it, because you wouldn't want a judicial system that does that. You wouldn't if your father robbed a bank and then he died and they go, well, we got it, somebody's got to pay for this, so it's you. Jesse, you have to go to prison. And you're like, I didn't do anything. I'm a good man. I'm a Christian. I'm a preacher.
I want to move on because of time, and there's so much I gotta ask you.
Yeah.
But there's a difference between the justice system, the physical justice system, and the spirit of God within you. You can't compare the two.
Well, I think there should be some overlap. That is to say, I want our state criminal justice system to be fair, that all people, black and white, and different religions and
but it cannot be because you have for the most part, except for the Great White Hope, you have evil people running the system now. They have no love, and so it's impossible for them to be fair.
Well, in the criminal justice system,
yes.
You mean? What about when Republicans run it?
Republicans have no love. The rightos have no love. They're just like the Democrats. It's about themselves and not about others.
Well, but so many people, and let's take someone like Senator Ted Cruz from Texas. I mean,
Oh God, let's not
he's
do that.
he's deeply religious.
Oh yeah, right.
Well,
Jesse
you don't like
Jackson
Ted
is
Cruz?
too.
He's your man. Okay, I thought you were a Republican.
I am.
Okay.
I'm like 100% Republican, but I
Okay,
wouldn't
okay,
trust
let me ask you
Marco
something.
Rubio as
as
far
a-
as I can throw him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What about? Okay. Well, let me back up.
He's a rhino.
I'm curious to know how a religious person like yourself, a Christian, could vote for Trump, who's like the least religious president we've ever had.
He's the
I mean, the
most
guy-
religious.
You know, what about the Hollywood Access tape and the paying off of the mistresses on his third wife? All this. If that was Obama who had that background, you would be screaming into the mic, "Get rid of this guy! He's immoral." And yet,
Exactly.
when your guy does it, how do you rationalize that? Bad
Because
behavior?
we all have sin, and then some overcome and some don't. If you notice, since the president been in the White House, he hasn't done those things. And we all have sin, so we have a past. Some people overcome and some don't. This president is not doing those things. Now, why would I judge him for the things he's done when they don't exist anymore?
But isn't the real answer is that he's going to get you the judges you want to overturn Roe v.
No,
Wade?
the
and things
real
like that?
answer is that he's not doing those things anymore. So why should I judge him for now
Okay. All right.
for things that he's not doing?
I'm
it's
just
not-
telling you, I was surprised.
I have no
that-
right to hold that against him. It happened then, and it's not happening now.
I'm just saying I was surprised that Christians like Ted Cruz or Marco Rubio say, didn't get the nod over Trump.
Because they're rhinos, they're weak.
They're weak. Or Rhino.
They're
Rhino.
beta
Right, yeah.
males.
Republican in name only. Rhino.
That's
yeah, okay,
right.
Yeah.